Hello, heathens.
Hey, heathens, how have you been? What's been going on?
Me? Oh, fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Just
We
fine.
all know the definition of fine.
And if we don't by now, have you even listened to us?
Where have you been listening?
Have you been listening? Because we should all know the definition of fine by now.
Mm-hmm.
So today we have a very special guest with us. It
Very
is
special.
our little baby, the one we talk about all the time.
The baby.
The baby. Her name is
The
Trinity.
baby.
Yeah, you are the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we wanted to do this episode to talk to a teenager and just like so you guys know, you guys can see how we talk to her, how she talks to us, and like feel more comfortable talking to teenagers and kind of get her views on things because she's a person with thoughts too. Weird.
So weird.
So weird.
You have thoughts?
You have thoughts? So,
Never heard of it.
never. Um, Nicole, do you have any other intentions you would like to put out there?
Um, I guess the real structure is yeah, so adults can talk to teenagers and realize that they're not scary and that they have wonderful views on the world that we either have taken for granted or just to see it in that slightly different version and to be open to just because they're younger doesn't mean they know less. It's just that they've had less time on this physical plane.
Yeah, and they might not know as much as us in the way of books and like shit like that, you guys. And teenagers go through experiences too. So we're talking about it today.
Absolutely. This is where some of our trauma comes from.
So yeah, again, this is the baby. This is Trinity, Nicole's daughter, my basically little sister. How old are you? Tell the
I'm
heathens.
16.
16. Finally on spring or summer break. Spring break.
Summer break is the best.
Yeah. Um, I guess we should have talked about it before we started the episode, but again, this is not edited or pre-recorded, so you guys
And
get the raws.
we're
Um,
heathens.
Baby, is there a place you'd like to and also forgive us. It is force of habit. We call her baby. We will probably use Trinity maybe once or twice in this episode. So again, her name is Trinity, but we call her baby.
We call her baby.
It's the baby.
It's the
My,
baby.
my headphones are doing some funky stuff right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, here. Well, um, let's see here. Okay, crisis averted.
Commercial break.
Yeah, a little break that nobody will notice except for us.
Nobody will notice.
Nobody would have known. Um, okay, so what I was saying is again, we haven't like pre-figured everything out about like exactly what we're going to talk about, but Trinity, is there somewhere you want to start or something you wanted to start with?
I was hoping you guys do that.
Okay, cool. I wrote down a ton of questions I found today that I thought were really cool. Some of them are like open-ended, and I was like, oh, these would be cool questions to ask the baby.
Mhm.
But Mom, is there anything you wanted to start with?
I guess like how does it feel to go from being like a preteen to a teenager? Like what was the big thing that you noticed from like I don't know, elementary to middle to high school?
Probably hormone and sex stuff. We're
Mm-hmm.
getting right into it. Like, definitely that.
What do you feel was either benefiting you or lacking in your
Um, well, I mean, I just kind of felt like I had to figure myself out. And especially when I was like in middle school, like sixth, seventh grade, I was going through some deep shit with myself and like trying to get out of that dark shithole and like figure myself out again and just do me. And even after like my recent breakup, I'm still trying to figure myself out and get back to that same person that I was and being even better than I was and just continue to grow and
and I
Earlier,
guess
well, Earlier
go
when
ahead.
you said hormones and sex, though, you kind of just left it at that. What do you mean? Like,
Um,
was it just like the learning about yourself in that, or is it just that, like,
that
the
and just
information?
yeah. Like being more curious about stuff like that and sadly like Googling it or even just asking you eventually, like when we became more close and now even talking to my mom about that kind of stuff and
Mhm.
um
So it's like the learning process of like your own bodily changes and like your
yeah,
new
and how to do
interest in like
everything.
sex. Yeah. And like trying to learn that stuff that was like a huge change from, like mom said, preteen to teen then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was one of the first things that came to mind.
Yeah. I think that's huge though, because we all go through that honestly. And like, Nicole always says it takes a village to raise like, one kid. Like it is about having support and having like people to talk to, right? And also, yeah, it's awesome that you grew up in a time where you can Google stuff and find stuff that actually
Yeah.
like
That is true.
benefits you.
I was gonna say, like, I Google a lot of things because I always feel like Google just
Oh, Google's like, you need me? You
yeah,
called?
Google is excited. It's really nice because I feel like a lot of questions I don't necessarily want to talk to people about them, or I want to have like maybe a foothold in it and then grasp other people's like opinions. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you're the same way as that. Is
Like
like
a
you
safe
kind
place where you don't feel judged or anything, basically. Like,
right, especially when you're like Googling stuff that's about sex and like you're a little bit nervous or
right?
um
Like, what the heck is this? Or
yeah,
what's
and what
happening to my body? And oh no, I have cancer. Like,
Funny story about that, Trinity. I don't know if I ever told you or Nicole this, but when I was first developing and like my hormones were changing and I started developing breasts, I could feel it, but I didn't know that you were gonna feel it because nobody talks to you about like you'll
right.
feel breast tissue. I thought I had breast cancer. And I
oh
remember freaking
no.
out and running to my mom and being like, "Breast cancer." And she's like, "You're literally developing breasts." And it was like, "Are you sure it's not cancer? I felt a lump."
No, because I remember like my boobs hurting, like
Oh yeah.
especially during my period and all that kind of stuff. Like they just hurt, and I'm like, oh my God, I have cancer. I'm literally dying.
I
But it's
literally
fine.
just went through that because I was off my birth control for like a couple months and my breasts were hurting during my period. And I had to ask my gynecologist if I was pregnant. She's like, that's part of your menstrual period. And I was like, I forgot
Oh
what that's
yeah.
like.
Well, and that's, so the differences between all three of us, even like my breast never hurt until I was pregnant.
Hmm.
My boobs never hurt.
That's what everybody says. And I was like freaking out. And she's like, I I took a bunch at
I'm
home
glad I didn't know
and
that when I was younger.
oh
God.
my,
Mhm.
I know, right? And
Just
everybody was
that
just
getting in
like,
my
that's how
head.
I knew. And I was like,
I'm pregnant and I have cancer.
I'm pregnant and I have just RIP me. I gotta go. That's
Oh
so
my god,
funny.
this is
Oh,
awesome. Uh, um, to be pregnant and have cancer and be a teen, like my God, no
Yeah.
wonder we're so much pressure.
dude. Yeah, I feel like there's not, I feel like also I want to say with like the whole Googling thing is like we always say with spirituality, you need to like keep doing your research till you find things that matter. Sometimes it's good to ask a trusted adult too, what they think about that because there is a lot of misinformation about sex out there,
Mhm.
unfortunately, and especially for teenagers trying to figure it out.
Well, and that was the
Definitely.
thing. I was talking to my client yesterday, and we were talking about like, the first time that somebody sees sex, usually it's porn, right? And that's how we're educating our kids, right? Like, so I was like, how do we make a instructional video that's not dirty and gross, right? Like it's more respectful, right? Like respectable, honoring the act of it, plus like showing like you should ask this of your partner. Like, is this okay? Are you okay? Like, especially like if you're going through your first time, or if you're like, whatever, these things that we don't think about, asking, and like, are you okay? And stuff like that. Like, and then we don't even want to talk about it because it's such taboo, especially if, and I feel like the assumption is mostly like very conservative, very religious people don't even want to talk about the subject. Like they really put it off to marriage, right? Which is fine. Like, again, we're in this place that everybody gets to do them and what they honor as sacred and holy. And I just feel like we're really doing some people a disservice of not even being able to like hold this
Know your own
space.
body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, is this normal? And,
Right.
so that way you have a baseline of like when something does go wrong, you're like, oh, we should get this checked out. Like,
Well, and what I want to add to that is we need to get over the fact that sex is dirty. Our bodies are dirty.
oh
It,
God, they
it is
are,
a
right?
dirty act that you are going into. Get
Being
over
human
it.
is.
Being a human is dirty. Like having a period, you feel dirty. Like it's okay. Sex is dirty. There's no way to do it that is in a way where it's like, oh God, don't look at me. You're naked and having sex.
Right. Well, I guess like it's funny because I was thinking of more dirty of like how like the feeling of it. Like if I feel dirty, like the porn industry, I feel has this like not from like my point of view, but I feel like in society it has this like dirty, dark,
Well,
seedy.
it's because sex is looked at as dirty.
Mhm.
But like it is, if we get down to the brass tacks of it, it is bodily functions that we are sharing with each other. It is
Absolutely.
fluid. It is
Even with like
lots of things.
smooching. Like, come on,
Yeah,
that's nasty. Like, doesn't
right.
the other person spit stay in your mouth for like hours on end? And
Well, and we actually just learned from a friend in California that like you're basically giving your DNA to somebody, you're creating a bond with them. So it's like
Right.
sex is dirty, you guys, and that's okay. It's okay. And guess what? Teenagers, I agree, we are doing a disservice, especially for teenagers, because they're seeing a side of it that is more intense, right? They're seeing like the kink, the BDSM side of it, the sides of it where these people have been doing this for a long time. Usually, now, don't get me wrong, there's lots of realms in that world, but they've
Right.
been doing it for a long time. So then
yeah,
also
and it's
what's
just this
getting put on
unrealistic standard.
and then what's also getting
Right.
put on teenagers is the pressure to perform because that's all they've seen and all they know. So then they think they also have to be making noise. They think they also have to be making faces or doing all this wild, crazy stuff.
Be bald.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. Be a certain way. Like I know when I first started like venturing into sex, like I thought I had to be a porn star.
Oh, me too.
Like
The
we're
faces,
talking,
the
yeah, the
noises,
faces, the louder I scream, the more you love it,
the more,
right?
the more you were enjoying it. And really, truly, you probably weren't enjoying it at all. And you were like, this kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I just accepted that this is the way I was supposed to be.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
basically like, no wonder we fake orgasms because we think we're supposed to,
Like
because
there
that's
was a
all.
time where I thought I could never like be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would literally cry because of it. Or like even well, okay, even with like fingering myself basically, or like
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd be able to do that, or like be able to even have sex if I wasn't able to do that.
Right.
And I don't know. Again, I just set this unrealistic standard in my mind where it's like,
Yeah.
dang.
Right.
So I guess since we're talking about sex and like we said, you guys getting into the nitty gritty, I guess we should have gave a disclaimer at the start of this that the three of us, are very open with each other. We talk
We're
a lot
very
about all
open.
this stuff and we're letting you into our world to let you know what it looks like for a teenager who feels supported and feels like she has people in her life she can talk to, right? But since
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about sex, I guess, Trin, what is the difference between you and your friends when it comes to that? Like, what do you wish other teenagers had, or what, even if you wish you had something different that we could provide when it comes to like the information of sex, or just the support that we could offer as adults to teenagers in that?
Honestly, just creating that comfortable environment of where I can ask my parent anything and feel safe and not judged or like anything. I want that safe sort of environment with the people around me and my parents and um which it's slowly getting there. And I mean like we just started talking, well, at least with mom, like I just started talking about stuff like this like maybe a year ago.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And again, I always felt like uncomfortable with it. And like even fuck when like I started shaving, like I felt so weird about that. And I'd make up lies about like me just wanting to shave my legs when really I just wanted to shave my pubes.
Yeah.
Because like I just felt so weird about it because no one ever talked about it with me.
Hmm.
And I felt like I had to make up the stupid things and but yeah, just definitely having people there for me has been so great and makes me feel so much more comfortable and even talking to my friends about stuff like that too and like sharing my experiences or like um just anything just being there and having that sort of person it's great and especially from a parent like someone who is supposed to be there for you.
Well, and mom, that brings it back to you where I'm like, how is that for you? How did you handle that? Because you've created a space where your daughter feels like she can talk to you about something that most parents are probably terrified to like hear their kid talk about, which
Oh,
is
I'm
sex, right?
terrified all the time. But what I know is because I am parenting on uncharted territory. Like I took what my mom did for me, but I realized that some of it is outdated and not beneficial. And I know like as a teenager, I remember very vividly what I needed. So I
Mhm.
try to really hone into like what I needed as a teenager that I did not receive. And then also um trying to really listen to what she's saying and how she feels and really trying to make sure I am being there for her, you know, and not too much, like knowing when to back off and have space and being okay and getting my ego out of check and my wounds, making sure that those are in check because like it hits all these little things like
Mhm.
when I was growing up and when I was a teenager, I was very sex positive I and it was bad, right? Like I
Right.
was bad and wrong because that would make me a whore. And if I was a whore, I was unlovable,
Yep.
right? So these were the things that I was taught. And this was society. It wasn't just like my parents and like I'm not blaming anybody. It's literally just the temperature of I mean, we're still going through stuff like this right now, right? So
Yeah.
it was very hard for me to go through being a teenager and having these urges and these feelings and therapy wasn't a thing either.
No, it
So
wasn't.
I had to really go through this and stumble through it and do the best I can with what I had and I got you get through it. So fast forward having my own child, I and I've made, the thing is I make mistakes and then I like revisit it, right? Like, okay, that didn't feel right and that didn't get the outcome that I wanted. It wasn't for the positive or for the good. It triggered or, you know, then all of a sudden like we're mad at each other or whatever. We've it's a delicate dance of
Yeah.
like, a relationship that's always growing and changing because she is growing and changing and she's coming into herself and I wanted so much for her voice to be heard because I felt like mine wasn't.
Mhm.
So it was very important to me from the beginning that she could express herself unbridled.
Yeah. That I think you guys would both agree with this. I like from a third party view and from what I've gotten to see with all my parents and like especially you guys, being in my life. It's almost like being a parent, you also have to move from the helping them with every little thing into this is an intimate partner almost. You have to treat them with respect like you would your partner. You have to give them space to talk to you,
Mhm.
to be open to hearing what's going on with them, for you to also say that to them, because I know that's how you two are. Is like when Nicole's going through something too, she'll talk to Trinity about it. And so it's like
Mhm.
you then go from this like super parental, like authoritative like space into like a equals, where partners, we are in this together, like I'm here for you and you are here for me, and like it becomes a different kind of relationship. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because a lot of times I'll talk to her about stuff like that. And I am very, when I'm working through something, I am very secretive because I want to, because my thoughts get very um crumbly, like chaotic almost. And I kind of have to start sifting through it and like make sense of it before I can regurgitate it to other people. Because again, when I first come out, people take it wrong because I say words that um have a understanding through the public that's different, and I don't mean it that way.
Yeah.
I mean it in a different way, but it's automatically judged and like filed away of being whatever its preconceived notion is, right? So it's very hard for me to like talk through stuff.
So what you're saying is you have dyslexia of the mouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the brain. We say one thing but we mean another.
Right. I didn't just buy the t-shirt. Like I made it.
You came up with a concept.
Right, exactly. Like I'm the founder. But it is really important to me that she is supported and beautiful of who she is and the confidence in it, uh in being just a person in this day and age. Like a lot of people will say that like, oh, I feel so bad that these kids are going through this world and we're leaving them this world. And I was like, I don't feel bad about that. You know, she came into this world with all the tools that she needed for what we have today. Like, they're not my tools because I was born earlier. I had different tools, right? Like, I was
Right.
prepared for the world that I was born in. So I am fully confident in that she will be amazing and that she will like render this world her own. And all I have to do is guide her sometimes and support her in what she's chosen to do.
Right. And it's great having that sort of support, especially from a parent, and having that safe place to go home to, basically. And
Mhm.
yeah, knowing that I could even fucking just ask you for condoms or like birth
Mhm.
control or
Mhm.
anything like that. And just, yeah, being safe.
Yeah, we've talked about this before on the podcast. I can't remember what episode, because we get into our little like our side streets, and then it curves back into the main road sometimes, but
It's a roundabout.
it's a roundabout. We'll be on that circle for a hot minute because we don't know how to get out of it.
Which
Um,
way?
But yeah, we've talked about this, you guys, and like it's cool to have Trinity on the podcast to also like validate us saying this, where it's like we are doing a disservice to our teenagers when we are so uncomfortable with our own bodies or our own experiences that we can't understand that they're going through it too, and they're looking up to us to help them. And so that is huge with sex. We're doing a disservice to kids to not be able to give them all these tools to be safe, to know what safety is, to know how to feel good in your own body, how to feel comfortable in saying no, how to know when to say no. What are the warning signs? What are things you need to be looking for? That's all shit that most of us as adult, and I know you guys, is going to hit a lot of you hard, but that's all shit that we had to learn on our own. Because there are
Absolutely.
so many times I wish I would have been out of a situation and been able to see the red flags, but I didn't know to look for them until I
Mhm.
knew. It's kind of like a fuck around and find out situation.
Right? I mean, that's kind of how we did teenaging,
Yeah,
right? Like we
even
fucked around
into
and
young
found out.
adulthood. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Like there
Now I
was
have
some
Google, so
Yeah. Well, also you have us where we can tell you about those experiences of like,
yeah.
listen, if this
Yeah,
happens, I'm
definitely.
telling you, don't fuck around and find out. Run,
right,
baby. Run,
right.
baby.
Run, red
Run,
flag,
baby.
run. Hmm.
So it's important to talk to your teenager about this stuff, you guys, because like it you're giving them all the tools in their tool belt or in their shed to be able to fucking weed that garden, you know? They're not going to have to worry about that shit. They're not going to have to worry about poison ivy or whatever getting in their garden because they got the tools to take it out. You've already
I
given it
have
to
that
them.
safe person, like,
Right.
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
great having that from a parent, especially like.
Dude, I
Well,
always say I'm fucking jealous of Trinity, dude. There's so many things she's experiencing as a teenager that I feel like, while yes, she's still getting her own experiences and learning her own things. I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have like had that happen that way.
well, and the thing is it's not, we're still figuring it out. We still like have a normal relationship where like we get mad at each other or like we need space from each other or like um but at the end of the day, like that's part of having a relationship with somebody that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a normal healthy relationship because sometimes I'm in a bad fucking mood.
Yeah. That's what I was
Right?
saying. Sometimes we got to take out the like, there's this thing that happens as you get older with your parents. Sometimes it probably already has happened for you guys, but I didn't know this was a thing until I experienced it with my grandparents, where, like I said, you're not looking at them as an authority figure anymore. They're not
Mhm.
just your parents anymore. They are people with their own wants and needs and their own feelings. And now you are recognizing that. So the relationship changes and you become partners in a way where it's like, my grandparents are going to be with me for the rest of their lives and mine. And so, like, why not be the best friends? Why not lean on each other when we need support? And why not celebrate each other when we want to celebrate? And like, why be secretive and not be able to talk to the one people that have been there your whole life and will
Right.
be there your whole life?
Well, it was important to me too to establish this whole like I'm your family, and what family means is that I'm always going to be here for you, right? No
Yeah.
matter what, I will
Right.
be here for you. So a lot of times, like I'll have to either check myself and make sure that I am running on all cylinders, and even being open and honest, like, look, I'm not in the best mood right now, and I need some space. Or same with Trinity, like she says, or else I just know that I need to walk away. Like, and because I don't want to say something I don't want that will leave a lasting mark. B, I don't want to put my projections onto her and my if you will, the generational curses. Like I'm trying to heal and stop that from continue to evolve into the further generations down if she chooses to have kids. That way we're not having the same cycle repeat over and over again, right?
Right.
And it's been interesting to see the world through her eyes and navigate through her, where like we are, like for school for example, right? Like they're not very supportive right now, and we understand that. They're saying, I feel like there's a lot of gaslighting that's happening where they say all the right things, but there's no meat in that, like it's just the out shell of it. There's no substance to it. And it's really hard to take my kid and throw her into school when I know that they're not actually following through with what they're saying. But I also, on the flip side of that coin, know that even though it's not perfect and it's not the place I really want her to go, she's also learning really good life hacks by going through school and learning from these people that may not be aware. They may not, because you're going to navigate this world, and you're really learning how to navigate this world, because once you get out of it, those techniques will help you. It's still a safe place for you to like work out these kind of issues, because once you get out there into the wild, like it'll be, there are no, like, they have rules, like the wild doesn't.
Well, Trinity, let's hear about your experience in school so far with like adults and teachers and like what you let's hear about your experience, and then let's hear about how you would like to see it change, or like maybe
Yeah.
an advice you have for like teachers, adults, because we do have quite a lot of teachers that listen to our podcast too. And
Mhm.
I think it'd be nice for them to hear like an open form from you. So what was your experience in school so far and what would you like to change?
Um, I mean, normally it's pretty okay. It's just when you kind of get in trouble or something, like they do not deal with it well and they do not treat me as an equal, which has happened a lot. And even
Mhm.
if I am like being in trouble or like something, it shouldn't just be like a punishment and it's like that's all you get. It should be an actual conversation between you and the teacher and that person. It's person to person, like we're equal. And um yeah, it should just be an equal conversation between two people, and that's it. And
Right,
again, it
because
should
usually they just punish you, right?
right, and
They
that's
Well,
don't.
basically the end of it. They don't tell me exactly what I did wrong or explain to me why I'm being punished, or it's just, oh, you have to be suspended for, a day or so. Skip
Mhm.
class.
yeah, so by equal, you mean like you just want to have a conversation, be asked what happened or why, and have
Right.
them explain like why they feel like you did something wrong. So then you can also have an open forum conversation with each other to like both
While
come to an
also having
understanding,
it,
right?
yeah, and while also having it be like a respectful conversation as well, because a lot of the times I do end up feeling very disrespected by a lot of the people that go to my school, a lot of the older people that go to my school. Um, and I do not like that.
How can you give us an example or give people that are listening like an example of like how they disrespect you so they can kind of
Um,
know?
there was one time where I think it was my what's like the person below? I don't know. It was an important person, and she basically told me that she wanted to look through my bag, and I told her no. And
Oh,
I
that
kept
was.
telling her no,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to like call your parents and all this crap." And then she just told me that I was making the situation difficult. I was
Because
being difficult.
yeah, because she wanted
Mhm.
to be invasive and you were like,
Not about it.
no, yeah. And there was no conversation that happened, right? It was like, well,
Mm-mm.
you're going
It
to
was
do
just
this
that.
and you're going to do
Right.
this and you're in trouble for this. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not even, you felt like a prisoner a little bit, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was I did not feel safe in the environment that I was in until like my parents showed up and fucking gassed those mofos.
They
Oh
came
my
in with
God.
the heat, baby.
Rob was so brilliant that day.
I think I have a good question for you around this, and I just gotta find it really quick because I found it earlier and I thought that this was a really cool. Oh, here it is. I would like to know what you think is the most important quality in a teacher and why. Like, what makes a good teacher for you?
Um, them just being real with you, honestly. Like one of my favorite teachers, she's like just she'll talk to you about basically anything and she's super cool and like she'll joke around with you and all that kind of stuff and I just really like her. Uh
I
And it's just it's nicer because it's like I'm talking to just another person and that's it. It
I
doesn't have to be like about age or that you're a teacher and I'm a student. It's just equal and that's
Mhm.
it.
yeah, that's what I was
Just
just
talk to
gonna
me.
say.
Yeah.
So
Um,
she just talks to you like you're a normal person.
yeah.
Not like, "Oh, you're a child and I can't talk to you. I have to
And
talk to you
now
in a
it's
specific
awkward
way."
or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that it's interesting how that happens, Trend, too, because I feel like a lot of um people do have a hard time coming up to you and talking to you. We've even your mother and I both like seen it happen where it's like, or I've been told by friends sometimes before, which I've told you this, is they're like, I don't, I like don't know how to talk to Trinity, and I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, like, what do I say? And I'm like, hey, Trin, what's up?
How do you talk to anyone else?
Right.
Like,
That was another question that I had written down is like, where is it? Sorry, they're all over the freaking place. But like, how would you like somebody if somebody was nervous, like what advice would you give them about like how to talk, how to approach you? If they were like, oh, that's Nicole's daughter, I want to go talk to her, or any other teenager, like what makes you feel comfortable or like invited into a conversation is other than like, hey Trinity, how's school?
That's a great one. Um, I it's just again talking to me like anyone else. Like, how do you talk to anybody else? Any other adult or fucking whatever, and just maybe not about school or like the weather, perhaps. Stuff like that. I don't know, it could
It'd just
be
be
really about
simple.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, hey Trinity, how's life? How have you been? What's going on? What have you been doing?
Right. What's going on?
More
What you
stuff
been
about the
doing?
snakes or like
There you
Right.
go.
my job or how I'm feeling. Like maybe go in a little more detail besides like, hey, when's school ending? Or
Or how tall you've gotten.
oh my God, you're so tall.
Or how about you look just like your mom? Every time I see
All the
you, you
time.
look more and more like your mother.
It
And it's
annoys
like,
me.
you guys got to understand, like, what is it? What would anybody say to that? You look more and
Right.
more like your mom. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's not a bad thing, but also, like, how that's not
No.
a conversation starter. That's a statement.
And everybody says it. Right? Like, okay, we get it.
Also, I feel like something we should talk about for all the young girls out there too is, as a gentleman, the best way to approach a young girl is not by telling them how hot they are as a
Yeah.
young girl and
Yeah.
or how, wow, you've gotten so beautiful in a creepy way. Because guess what? They're people
Right.
too, and they know you're being creepy, okay? There's a different way to tell somebody who is a young person that you're like, wow, you actually are very pretty. There's different
Mhm.
ways to do it. And like Trinity has unfortunately experienced like both ends of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Especially over the snap of the chat. Ooh. Not fun. And a lot of dudes freaking start off conversations like that, and it's only about like my looks, basically. And
Right.
I don't know, it's nothing interesting. Um,
Yeah, so cool. All we have in common is my body. Cool.
My face is pretty,
my
thank
cool
you. But like,
face,
yeah,
yeah.
Right.
you're cool face.
You're so cool.
Thanks.
But no, I have gotten some gross stuff from older fellas as well, even
Hmm.
over Snapchat, and it's not fun. And okay, first of all, you should not be doing that to begin with. You're like a 50-year-old dude texting
Thank
a
you.
60-year-old girl on Snapchat, telling her how she's pretty. I like
That's a whole nother conversation that we all have a problem with in this household.
no bueno. But I mean, like, if you're just coming up to me and saying like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty," like that's it. That's it. That's all that needs to be done, basically.
Yeah.
Or like, "Wow, I really like your makeup," or like fucking whatever. Anything besides like, "Wow, I can't be around you. Ugh,
Oh.
Ugh.
I'm gonna get in trouble." Ugh.
Oh.
Ugh.
Yeah,
God.
First
those
of
are the
all, only
best.
if I say yes. Oh.
Also,
No.
y'all better not catch me around my baby when you say that shit to her, because your girl's about
Girl,
to
that.
catch a charge.
Especially at those reptile shows. Woof. Got a lot of
Oh,
nice dudes
well.
there.
Yeah, essentially, the point of this conversation is one, don't be creepy to young girls or
Yeah,
young
stop it.
boys.
Stop
Also,
it.
two, this is another way to empower young people on how and when to have boundaries with people and how to not feel bad about being like you're being a creep.
Right.
Right.
Because
Well,
I'm just figuring that out, like, and figuring
mhm.
out when the fuck to say no and when to, like, stick up for myself, basically. Because before, like I couldn't even realize it was going on basically because I always thought that everyone basically had the best intentions for me, but obviously people do not, and I need to stick up for myself and figure that shit out right away so I can get away from that motherfucker fast as fuck.
Fast as fuck,
Because
boy.
that
That's just like boy.
because that shit's nasty. I don't want to no.
That shit is
Yeah.
so nasty. Well, next subject, I guess. A long pause. We all look at each other. Trent, another thing I really wanted to talk to you about and with for the heathenistic people is okay, there's this whole thing that adults remove themselves from, and then it becomes this weird thing with love in teenagers. Okay.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, well, you're just in puppy love, or oh, you don't know what love is. But I guess let's start with this. You've experienced love, right? Love with a partner, not just your parent, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Twice.
twice,
Two
here we go.
times.
And you know how it's been described for adults, right? And you would say that you've experienced love in the way that adults do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also you already said this, so I'm not airing any dirty laundry here, but Trinity, you've also recently been through a breakup. And what I'd like to give the heathenistic parents out there is what made you feel supported during one when you were in love and two during your breakup? Or are there different things you wished would have been there to help you feel supported in that?
I mean, while we were dating, it was always nice, like being able to see him and like my mom, like allowing that and like talking to him even and um just like supporting basically my decisions while also like just being there to give me advice or fucking whatever, whether I listen to it or not. But
Yep.
it still
Right.
is nice to be able to have that support again and um yeah. And even after the breakup, like I just basically told my mom, like, I cannot go to school today or I'm just gonna be crying all day. And she allowed me to stay home and she was there to comfort me and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, and it definitely does help.
Go, mama.
And she's like, if you want to talk about it, like I'm here and yeah.
Yeah, because that was the other thing is I'm like, you can talk about it. You don't have to talk about it. I mean, I think the first couple weeks I just held her. We sat in bed and watched movies and I would just cuddle her. And that's all she needed. We didn't have to talk
Mhm.
about it. We didn't have to like, she just needed to be held. It's that kind of
I didn't
stuff.
end up
Like,
talking shit about that motherfucker. Come on.
well, yeah, you
It's fine.
did, but like, sometimes you just need to heal that
Yeah.
emotional wound, right?
And it's
Whoever,
especially great getting that from your mom. Like,
absolutely.
Who
it's
else
that
would you
safe
want that
place.
from, right? Like, that's
Right.
the
Mhm.
one person when you're going
Ultimate
through a breakup
comfort.
you really want. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing about reading your teen or your partner or, whoever you're in a relationship with, like reading that the fact, like, I'm not going to force her to talk to me,
Right.
right? She's not ready. I wouldn't go to Cassie and be like, you have to talk to me about this. We
Right.
have to hash it out. Right. Like,
I'm going to figure this out for you, so you have to talk to me about it.
right,
And
right.
especially after the breakup, or like even before, it's just like I was so embarrassed to admit that that happened.
Hmm.
And it was really hard to talk about, but the more I
Hmm.
kind of figured out he was really just an asshole, like I felt more comfortable and like also understanding of myself, like that shit happens, like you're gonna break up or fucking whatever, like it's gonna happen, or not gonna, but it could happen, and like
Could
that's
happen.
okay because that's a normal part of basically everyone's life. I mean,
Yeah, so
No, and
teenagers
you
experience love too, man.
absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
I'm very
man.
proud. I'm very proud of you the way you've processed that whole thing and went through
Yeah.
it. Like you did a very good
And it
job
takes time.
intuitively,
Yeah.
and it does take time. This has been a good 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I think, to get
Yeah.
really through it. And it doesn't happen in one fell swoop. Like this is
Right.
like you really got to do it. Like you got cut. And how long does it take for a cut to heal?
Right.
Right?
When I was telling Trinity yesterday that it psychologically wise, it does take half the time you were with somebody to fully get over them. So you're in a
Mhm.
healing process for half the time you were with them. So say you were with somebody for 10 years, not that Trinity was, but 10 years you're with,
I'd be 6.
yeah, it can take up to 5 years, sometimes a little. It's like it's not a set specific number, right? But
Right.
you could still be healing 5 years later from it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's
that's
a lot to
perfectly fine.
process.
Yeah, especially spending that much time with somebody basically every day. Like,
Right.
it takes time to deal with all that, and it's fine.
Look-
I'm just taking it slow. I don't have to rush anything. I can delete those fucking pictures whenever the fuck I want to,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I
That's
can
right.
I can do whatever the fuck I want.
We can print them all out and burn them.
That's a little much.
Okay.
She already offered to do that with like all of his clothes and like bracelets
Oh
and stuff, and I'm
yeah.
like,
I'm
that
like, burn it
motherfucker
down.
does not have enough power over me to do that shit. So now I'm fucking wearing a motherfucker. You don't have enough power over me to like
Oh my God, I
have
love
some
you
dumb
so
bracelets
much.
remind
I was
me
gonna
of you.
say, I hope that you all understand our obsession with this freaking being at this point, because like she's healing our inner childs too. Because like, let me tell you, if I would have been like that as a teenager, I would have been unstoppable.
I am
Seriously, me
unfucking
too.
stoppable.
You are unstoppable. I'd like to see a motherfucker try.
Yep. Because she's gonna roll up with a big posse.
That little Aries baby, my God.
Oh yeah.
Y'all aren't even ready for her adulthood.
Not ready for her. Mhm.
Mm-mm. Okay, let's see here.
So what's the next question?
I have
Wow.
so freaking many that are so fun. I guess let's do like
Let's do some fun ones.
I do have a couple more serious ones, but oh, I actually like this one. So well, I know this, so I'm not gonna ask this because like that's weird. Anyways, Trinity, the baby loves crystals, and I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think about crystals? Do you feel like they've helped you in life as you've gotten them?
I mean, yeah, I have like a shit ton of crystals in my room, and I don't know, I do get some sort of like energy from them, and like even with the little pentagram I'm wearing, or like this weird rock that mom gave me, like I just it makes me feel more protected and just more, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like projecting my thoughts on a weird object. I don't think I am, but I get this feeling from it and I like it. And sometimes it's more of a grounding feeling or like just getting me through something. I don't know. It helps. At
Yeah.
least I think so. I mean,
Same. I mean,
Also
I have a
same.
weird rock too.
and your bell that we can hear from a mile away. Can hear it
That
jingling in your
stinking
room right
bell,
now.
man.
It's
Dude,
clearing
Trinity,
energy.
Trinity always cracks me up because there's like these little things about her mom that just like she loves to like kind of like flame a
Dig
little
it.
bit. Like, I'll never forget the day she said something about you and your freaking church music.
Oh. Every fucking morning. Every morning.
You just
Like, yeah, every morning.
Yeah, I
Night
gotta do.
sometimes too.
I'm doing my rituals,
it's so funny.
and I like to do them to church
And
music.
enjoy your church music.
I love it.
If you had $1 billion as of today, what would you do with it?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's a good
Mhm.
one.
I don't know. I could take this question really seriously and just say like college or like a car, but we'll just say like a
Ew.
pond full of ducks. I've always wanted ducks. It's always those Dawn fucking commercials that get me onto that. It's so cute. I want some little dirty ducks that like clean the dog dish soap.
Oh my God, I
I
fucking love
knew
you.
that was gonna be a fun one. I knew it.
I want a pond full of that. Okay.
That's so
We're-
funny. You started with, well, I could just like, go to college, get a car, but I'd actually
Boring.
just want a pond with ducks.
Yeah.
If she had $1 billion, the first thing on that list is a pond with ducks.
That's,
Give them the finest mealworms, give them the finest greens. Ooh.
oh my God, could you imagine
The
being
clearest of blue water, of course.
They'd be following her around, the little baby ducks, like she's the mama
Oh,
duck. Oh, her heart, she
maybe
can't.
get one with a funky hairstyle.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
If you had to be a mythical creature, what would you be?
Mm.
um, uh, what's that one thing from My Little Pony? It has like,
The Dragon Discord.
yeah. Oh wait. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Oh.
Or there was another thing too, but Discord is honestly, yeah.
Really quick, Trinity. The first time I met Trinity, she was young because I've been in their lives
How
for
old
like
was
what,
I? Like,
6 years?
yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, I think you were 10.
2014.
No, wait, it had to be like 15, 16.
Okay.
So Trinity was obsessed with My Little Pony.
Obsessed.
Like, I mean, obsessed. Her room, she was so excited the first time I came over. She was like, "You want to come look at My Little Ponies?" And like was so like serious and like they were all over everywhere. And I was
Everywhere.
like, oh my God.
Well, her father's a collector, so when we do something, we
I
do
gotta
something.
get into that shit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's actually one of my questions was, do you collect things? And if so, what do you collect?
Right now, what do I collect?
At-
Yeah.
Is
I
Pack
guess
Rat.
I can say the cups that are sitting in the back of my room. I collect
Right.
those. Little science experiments going on. Ooh.
Oh no. She's
Any more
using
weeks, I'll
Nicole's
turn
words
blue.
against her.
I was like, I know I come in there, I'm like, okay, so what day is this science experiment going on?
Those have been about maybe 12 hours.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Oh, that's not that bad. I thought it was going to be really bad. I was like, dang, you're really airing yourself out here.
No,
This
because
morning-
I'll leave it in there and she'll be like, she'll bring it all out and it'll be flies on it, like the little fruit fly things. And she's like, oh.
Ew. Ew. I got a little paper plate sitting in here. It's about okay. I'm not gonna expose myself anymore. But
Yeah, I was gonna say you are really telling all
Oh,
your
that's
dirty
nasty.
secrets.
I'm sorry.
Which is also a normal teenager thing to do.
Very normal, let me tell you.
Mhm,
Dude, I used to tell
mhm.
my grandma, if you don't like it, close the door. Don't look at it.
Yeah.
It's my mess. Okay,
That
Trin.
freaking coffee cup she left in here, and I'm like, well, that's probably gonna be sitting in here for a hot minute because I'm not taking that out. Not right now. But she ended up getting it, so
I lost it. I was looking all over the house for it. I'm like, in here? Nope. In
Nope.
here?
and I was jamming it to my music.
What's your favorite thing about yourself?
Hmm. How like independent I can be, I guess, or like just how I can just say fuck you and like that's it. Get over that shit real quick. And like, I don't know, I'm just patient with myself.
Aries.
Aries.
I'm not mad about it. That
No.
Virgo rising really balances me out too. It's nice.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely the big fuck yous. Like, just I don't want to care. I don't
I
care.
remember, so there was this one time when you were younger and you were across the street in the pool. Do you remember this?
Not yet. I thought it was gonna be that naked story.
I could say that one too, but I
No.
think
Okay, I don't know the other one, so we'll just
okay, so
continue.
you were with what's her name? Beatty. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
were at the pool, not at her house, but at the other neighbor's house.
Okay.
So, and I forget how old you were, but you came back and I was like by yourself, and I was like, what happened? Like, and she's like, well, she was being a brat, so I just left.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I was so, because I wish I was like that. I was so proud of you for being so young and so like, fuck that shit at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. I was so proud of you at that moment. Like, I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing.
Yeah, that's when I started freaking just staying at home alone and like figuring out the kitchen and making dad try stuff with like beans and peas in it. He was nice enough to try it though, even though he like gagged it all up in the freaking sink, but
Okay, but wait, let's be real clear. All of that science experimenting turned into you
oh.
being one of the best cooks I have ever
Hell
ate from.
yeah. So good.
You
Fellow
know,
baby can fucking cook.
Yeah, we're
yeah,
gonna need you to make some more
gourmet chef over
meals.
here. Yeah,
Seriously.
I mean, I don't have the stress of school, so I'll have a clean room and be making meals.
Oh my God, I won't even know who lives here.
I know, no dirty science cups. No promises, but
I was like, that's a lot to promise.
okay, maybe
um,
just a few.
just a couple.
Just
How
a
do you
couple.
think the world will eventually end?
Oh,
Oh,
um,
oh.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is like a big asteroid or something, or a black hole. Oh my God, that's scary.
Ooh, I
I
didn't even think about
hate,
that.
I hate thinking about space. It just stresses me out. I can't.
Bella hates thinking about space too. It stresses her out too.
Oh
I
my God,
don't understand it. I don't want to.
can I tell you a space story?
Oh, I don't want to.
So there was
Maybe.
this, we were at the, I was at the condo. So this was before you were born. And I remember, and I was getting high. I was doing my nightly routine.
Oh my God.
And I remember, it's so funny. I remember looking up and being like overwhelmed by the immense of space. Like in my brain, I was like, oh my God, I'm looking at that star and somebody's probably looking at me and I'm a star. And in my head, it was so like, it was such a big thought for me that I literally, because again, I don't want to tell anybody that I'm having a panic attack. So I'm having a panic attack inside myself. Your dad's right next to me. And I'm like, but I'm like inside, like, okay, calm down. You're fine. Everything's
Yeah, on the
fine. Like,
outside, you're like, and on the inside, you're like, I'm freaking out, man.
space is so big.
And Dad's just like, yep.
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 He's like,
Um,
yep. She was freaking out. Yep.
Yep.
yep. Trinity, what would you say was the most important or were the most important moments of your life so far? Wow, if I can get that out.
Um, okay, well, the first thing that came to mind was like my grandpa, my poopa. I don't know. It's always nice because he's like always here for me, and he's like my little guardian angel, and I always have someone to go back to, I guess. Um, and I don't know, I feel like he's just, yeah, always been here, and like while I'm saying fuck you and figuring myself out and living my best life,
Nice.
doing what I want, baby.
All right.
What do you think has been the hardest thing you've ever done?
Um, getting over my first ever breakup. Woof. My
Fucking big
Taurus
oof.
Venus, my Taurus Venus could not take it, and
Yep.
that's okay. He is a dick anyway, so. But it helped me figure a lot of shit out about myself, especially and like then COVID hit. I remember that and woof. But then I went up, so
Well, and then you changed your schools too. How was changing schools?
um a lot better than I thought because I kind of just was not friends with anyone at my old school anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even with my one friend after I stopped, well, my little friend group, I stopped being friends with them and just was really just by myself a lot during like quarantine, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
that's when I definitely figured a lot of shit out about myself and like just ended up saying, fuck you. Like I'm not gonna feel bad about myself or like compare myself to other people or like dread over this dumb motherfucker. Like I'm just gonna do what I want and I'm getting back into that. I'm gonna stay that way this time, boy. And be even better. Ooh.
What do you think about spirituality?
I would consider myself spiritual. I mean, believe in ghosts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I talked to my dead fucking grandpa, so there is that.
There's that.
I
There's
yeah,
it.
and I definitely have like weird dreams or like coincidences of like, well, they're
Quote
not real,
unquote.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But just things that'll happen, and then I like almost signs, I guess, that I should have taken into consideration but didn't, and something ends up happening, and now I like know that. And I'm
Right.
trying to be more observant and stuff like that, especially. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel a lot of different like energies and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'd consider myself to, I don't know, be on like your guys' level, I guess, of like, especially mom with her church music. I mean,
Okay,
that's
well,
a
that's a
big step.
different it's a different realm than a level.
That's right. That's my wheelhouse. Like that's what's comfortable for me. We're not comparing because that's a we talk about this all the time, especially in spirituality when you're trying to figure yourself out, is we start comparing ourselves like I should be like more like Cassie. And I'm like, okay, that's not because if we go into a house and we're gonna like spiritually cleanse it, we need all those pieces
Right.
to do a complete thing, right?
Yeah, kind of after I said that, I'm like, ew, but
Yeah. That's why we were like,
um,
wait a minute.
it's okay. But I don't know. I just kind of like how open it is again, and just how different everyone can see spirituality. And there's no fucking like rules or really anything to it. It's just
No rules.
you be you, man,
Hmm.
I think
and believe in what you want.
I think that's my favorite part about spirituality too, Trin, is like that there's no rules. Like
Right.
it's all about your perspective and what you want to believe.
Yeah,
like it.
exactly. And I don't have to do anything.
Right.
Any crap.
Well, this is a
Except
fun one.
except listen to my church music.
No.
The baby's gonna end up moving in with me.
I mean, New Orleans, like,
New Orleans?
Hey, I want to go to New Orleans.
oh no, no, their church music.
You
Church
told
music on
her.
blast in the Uber. Ooh.
Oh.
That would be something.
I don't usually listen to church music like while I'm driving. That I
Until
say
I
for
change it.
Disney. That I say for Disney.
Oh.
Yeah, we talked
Remember
about
that
that.
phase?
Mom
Yeah.
likes Disney.
And Footloose and
Oh my
Oh,
God, Footloose is so good.
Trinity, you had to
I
say
shouldn't even
it.
said anything.
You had to
It's
say
so
it.
good.
Oh.
Footloose is so good.
She's gonna get up and start dancing.
Yeah, she's gonna turn it on right after we're done
Footloose,
with the
yeah.
podcast. Kid loves that song.
I love that song. It's so good.
Oh.
Trent, if you could time travel to any place or
Time travel.
time, where would you travel to?
Hmm. I mean, it would be kind of cool to like see myself in the future. I mean, dang, then I could just ask myself a whole bunch of questions. I'm like, that would be kind of boring. There would be no excitement. Hmm. I mean, it would be kind of cool to travel like all the way in the future, but I feel like that'd be way too stressful. So we're just gonna say dinosaur times.
Yeah, because that's not
Just
scary.
to
Because
see,
that's
just
not
a little
stressful.
peek. Okay,
I'm
well,
over here like I'd go
Are we
back
gonna
to
get
Woodstock.
eaten? I know we're gonna
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Oh God,
Woodstock, yeah, I want to
mine would
experience
be
that.
Mine would
What's
be
there?
what, 14th century Queen Elizabeth?
Oh.
Ugh.
That bitch, no. I don't know
Yeah,
anything about her,
Woodstock
so
was like a big, it was like one of the first big festivals, and it was like all the hippies gathered and
okay.
watched music and got high and chilled out together, and it was all like peace and love, man.
Mm.
Sound
We
like
might
a
have
big
to go
fat
there
hippie.
then.
But also, I do feel like the only way that I would want to do time traveling back to like dinosaur times is if like they couldn't see me, smell me, hear me, because that'd be
Hmm.
cool.
What would be other cool times?
We would just get eaten at that point.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying. If you can't smell me, hear me, see me, I don't exist.
Right.
It's technically to you, so I could technically be on your back and you wouldn't even know.
Well, yeah, maybe we could, if we could talk to reptiles and control them, that would be the more better way of doing it.
oh, well,
Mm.
there is that. But
Amazon women.
or time travel to like the beginning of the earth, or like whatever, how everything was
Oh, yeah.
created.
Go
Oh,
back to
man,
the
that would be,
very beginning.
God, that'd be great
Yeah, that'd be
to
cool.
watch it all form and stuff. Oof.
Oh, I don't
Put that
know if
shit
my
in fast
brain has the
forward. Ooh.
capacity for that though, because then it'd be like, what if it's nothing like anything is anybody thinks they know? Like none of us actually knew, and it was just so mind-boggling that you came back and you were like the person on the side of the street. The end days are coming.
Uh,
Everything you know is a lie.
Oh my God, could you imagine just watching that
it
stuff?
turns out it's just Jesus with mom's church music.
No, that would be the Old Testament. That's the beginning of the times.
Oh, okay. Like,
It'd just be Jesus with mom's church music.
Does he have a boonbox or is he
and then
actually
there's
like
Footloose that comes on, and mom just like,
No.
this is my shit. Come on, Jesus. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do.
Oh my god,
That's
that's
the
so
beginning of
funny.
time, everyone. So
So that's the beginning of the times.
my mom with Footloose and Jesus, so
Oh my God, I'm so excited to go back in time.
and her church music, so can't forget about that.
This whole episode's just gonna be Trinity flaming her church music. It's
You might-
literally just choir music.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you dare. We'll get copyrighted.
No.
I think we would.
Fine.
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 YouTube's gonna be like, copyright, first one. Denied.
Denied.
Trinity, what is a subject that isn't taught in school, but you think it should be?
More sex ed stuff. Because boy, that sucks. It
So
sucks.
what do they teach you now compared to what you want to know?
Literally. Okay, well, let's see. So my first sex ed class, or sex was ever like mentioned at least, was in 8th grade. Pretty late, considering I started my period like 5th grade, but Anyway, we didn't even talk about periods too, but literally they gave us a website, told us to look it up on our little iPads, and want to know what I learned about? Fucking how dudes get erections, little boners, blood flown to their wee wee. And as a 13-year-old girl, I really needed to know that. So that website was a lot of help.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing is like they tell you everything about the boy, but nothing about the girl.
Yeah, I mean, okay, honestly, that was just what I clicked on. I guess I could have like dug in a little more, but eh.
And
I
the
thought I already
truth
knew
comes
everything.
out.
I was watching porn, like, come
I
on.
knew it.
Come on, I already know everything.
Well, shit, Big Mouth out there is the best. Like
That, yeah. Yeah. I'm
Like you wanna
rewatching it again for like the 500th time.
I've
I
been
love
telling
Big
people
Mouth.
to watch. I go watch Big Mouth because it's got everything on it,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's amazing.
I've now been
It's
watching season 2 of Human Resources.
Ooh, I need to watch that too.
I feel like Human Resources is for the adults and Big Mouth is for the teens.
There's a kitty.
Oh yeah.
It's a little kitty booty.
Little kitty booty.
Oh,
Hey,
there she
kitty,
is.
kitty. Oh my God, she's so beautiful.
My
Kitty,
cat's in the
kitty.
frame for a YouTube video, just so all of our listeners know.
And then just on
Okay.
the side it says mom's church music.
Is there someone you look up to, who and why?
Hmm. Let's
If
see.
there's not, that's
Uh,
okay too.
I mean, not anyone in particular.
She said
We'll just say Trixie
myself,
Mattel.
B.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that.
Trixie Mattel.
Sure, why not?
I love
Strong
Trixie
drag
Mattel.
queen. Yeah,
Yep.
she is great.
Why would you pick her as someone you looked
Funny.
up to? Because she's funny.
That was the first thing that came to mind. So,
Yeah, she's funny and brave and like opened up her own motel. Like, God,
yeah,
she's so
Katya too,
amazing.
like
Yeah. But
Russian horror.
Katya, she's the one that is her dark little heart
I
matches my
love
dark
her.
little heart. Yep.
Yeah, she is great. Anyway. Oh, back to the
Um,
sex ed question.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, so okay. But yeah, they gave us just a little website thing, and that was basically it. And then, well, this year, well, yeah, my sophomore year, we learned basically about condoms and like how women have babies, how to like put on a condom, how to like check the dates of condoms, all that kind of stuff. Not going into like major detail of like everything, not stuff that I really would want to learn about in specific. I guess what I would have liked is maybe learning about that kind of stuff sooner, like around the time that I did start my period and have all these fucking hormones, which was around like early middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and knowing how to like properly take care of myself and like what was going on. Not thinking I have cancer every month. Uh, but yeah, and just not feeling like embarrassed of myself because of all this shit that's happening to me. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that's why it is nice to have that adult there to fucking tell you all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
sometimes school will not do that.
Right.
Not in all the details that you want to know, at least.
It's so bizarre to me that we're still not teaching young girls about their menstrual periods. And we're
Right.
relying on parents to do that because not every child in the world has parents that are there, let alone willing
Mm-hmm.
to help with that.
And again, it happens to fucking every woman. Like
Ev- ev-
and it's a
Every
scary fucking thing.
uterus having person has a period,
Yes.
man.
Yep.
And it can be scary if you don't know what's going on, like bleeding from an area you barely even knew about. So
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Um, so far in your experience, what do you think makes for a successful relationship?
well, definitely communication. Like even if it's the most simplest stupid shit, like I want to know about it because your feelings are very valid to me and yeah, I want to talk to you and grow with you on how we can do like fix it or fucking talk about it or whatever. And just communicate about it.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the biggest things in my relationships, at least. It definitely helps a lot because then you don't have this like weird hatred towards each other by keeping all that little stuff in. Even if it seems so stupid, it helps so much just to even
Mm-hmm.
bring it up and talk about it with your partner. Like,
Mm-hmm.
woof.
That little hatred is called resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do that with my partner.
Nobody wants to do that with their partner, but we do it anyway for some reason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because
Um,
it's easy to feel mad,
It
yeah.
is.
not deal with it. But once you get over that, it's like, wow, I feel a lot better. At least with me. I mean, but
Wow. Is there anything you feel like you would like to say that we haven't covered or talked about?
um, I don't think so. I mean, talk more about the ponds and the ducks, but
What
I think
do
we kind of
you
covered mom's church music though, so. So sorry, what?
what do you want for the rest of your life? Like what do you, or even just the next couple of years? Like what do you see? What are your goals? What, like, how do you want to move forward?
Um, I wanna just live my best life. Like, I just wanna do whatever the fuck I want and just be my most authentic self.
I love
And
that.
I'm just gonna go with the flow at this point because fuck it.
Well, I'd say the big points from today's podcast is going to be talk to teenagers. They're fun. Ask them questions that aren't, yeah, so it's kind of rainy out there today.
Boy, you're so tall.
You
Oh
really
my
look like your
God.
mom.
How's school?
I think along
When
with
school ending.
yeah. And along with that, I think it's big out today was big on communication. Be more open
Mhm.
with these teenagers in your life. Try to talk to them. Try to like, make a little bond with them, make them feel safe and comforted and supported. And you'll end up getting a really funny Aries that will run your ass through the mud, but then pick you up and tell you she loves you right after it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Drag me right through with my church music.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone had to say it, so.
I would like to add that if you're talking to your teenager, you want to talk to your teenager, is be respectful. Remember to be respectful.
Because we're
Remember
people
to,
too.
well, remember that they're not just things that you need to try to control. They're people. So talk to them like adults, like you would talk to another adult.
Yeah. Remember, they're not stupid. Just
Mm-mm.
because you're younger doesn't mean they don't get it. I've gotten
And
some of
no,
the best advice from Trinity over other people before in relationships.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Just
pretty
talk
cool
to them,
like
man.
that.
Oh God, here we go.
Okay. I think we're going to end it with she's pretty cool like that. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this one. We love the
Mhm.
baby and thanks for being open and honest and willing to
Yeah.
share all your dirty laundry with all of the heathens because
All the
My
heathens.
moldy cups. Ooh.
yeah, right? Her little quote unquote science experiments.
Science experiments.
Yeah. Um yeah, guys, we hope this helps. We hope this can show you guys a different way of talking and opening up and being vulnerable with your team.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, heathens.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Footloose. Ooh.